Welcome to the deep dive. We take complex topics, pull them apart, and really try to get to the core insights for you.
Help you connect the dots.
Exactly. And today, we're heading back to the early 1980s, Los Angeles.
Yeah.
But forget the Hollywood image.
Right, this is different.
Think streets under pressure, crime rising, the drug trade exploding, and policing changing dramatically, becoming almost militarized.
Yeah.
Now, picture this. A huge tank-like vehicle, LAPD blue, it says LAPD rescue vehicle right on the side.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just patrolling. It is smashing through the wall of somebody's house.
Wow.
Not a movie set. This was real, an event that kind of incredibly helped spark a musical revolution.
It's hard to fathom, isn't it?
It really is. So we're doing a deep dive today into Felicia and Gigi Viacor's book, To Live and Defy in L.A., How Gangsta Rap Changed America.
It's a fantastic book, really powerful.
It's not just music history, is it? It's this gripping story of how a whole genre just erupted.
Right, out of these specific urban crises. And then it challenged authority like nothing before.
So our mission for you today, what are we trying to unpack?
Well, we want you to really get how LA rap, with this like relentless focus on police power, how it carved out its own lane.
Its own identity.
Exactly. How it stood apart from the East Coast scene, and how it eventually became this dominant force, changing pop culture across America.
We'll dig in some surprising stuff, hopefully give you a much deeper feel for why this music hit so hard.
And why it still resonates, really.
Okay, so let's set that scene properly. Late 70s, early 80s, Southern California. It wasn't just random urban problems. There was this huge political shift happening.
Proposition 13, the tax revolt.
Yeah, 1978, big deal.
Yeah.
It led to these really drastic cuts in public services all over California. Communities felt it.
And what happens when services get cut like that?
Well, the book argues, and it seems pretty clear, these cuts fed into the growth of street gangs, violent crime shot up, and things like gun running, drug trafficking. They exploded.
It created a kind of vacuum.
A perfect storm, really.
Yeah.
Social breakdown, economic hardship.
And crucially, how did the authorities react to all this?
That's where it gets, well, intense. The LAPD in 1984, they got their hands on 2 6-ton armored personnel carriers.
Not exactly your standard patrol car.
Not at all.
Yeah.
These were repurposed from the Vietnam War, actual military vehicles.
And the idea was?
The stated goal, anyway, was tackling gangs and specifically these fortified rock houses selling crack cocaine. Police were frustrated, saying they couldn't get in fast enough before suspects flush evidence.
Okay, so they needed a battering ram.
Literally. They attached steel rams to these APCs,
Right.
painted them blue, tactical and, frankly, terrifying.
Which leads us to the batter ram.
The infamous incident,
Yeah.
February 6, 1985. Chief Daryl Gates. He's a huge figure in this whole story, often controversial. He actually christens one of these things with Thunderbird wine.
You're kidding?
Nope. And then he rides along as it barrels down the street and just crashes right through the front wall of a house they suspected was a rock house.
And inside.
Not what they expected. No big bust, just a few terrified people, including kids, sitting there eating ice cream.
Oh my God, eating ice cream.
The image is just, it's astounding. The audacity,
Yeah.
the maybe tragic absurdity of it all.
Right. And the fallout must have been huge.
Immediate. Lawsuits flew. The community was outraged. People trying to get the Rams decommissioned.
But something else came out of it too, right? Musically.
Yes. A rapper from Compton, Toddy T. He quickly put out a track, called it simply Bataram.
And it blew up locally.
Almost overnight. It just captured the feeling on the street in a way no official statement or news report ever could.
Why do you think it hit such a nerve? What was it about that song?
Well, Toddy T's lyrics, they vividly painted this picture of the police's power, this unstoppable, almost monstrous force, embodied by that ram.
Yeah.
It perfectly captured that deep resentment simmering among young black men in South LA who were dealing with this increasingly militarized policing day in, day out.
And Vidor argues this wasn't just one theme in LA rap.
No, she says this is the initial defining thing about LA rap, this persistent, unwavering focus on police power. It set it apart right from the start.
Which tells you a lot about the different realities, doesn't it? East Coast versus West Coast hip-hop beginnings.
Totally. New York rap back then, it was often more about party, the boasting, the lyrical skills, braggadocio, right?
Sure, there was social commentary, but it wasn't usually the central lens.
But in LA, the Bataram, the wider policing context, it forced rap to confront authority head-on immediately. That focus Viator talks about, it came from lived experience, a different kind of lived experience.
And it wasn't just about big incidents like the Batarang, was it? It was the daily reality.
Right. The book points out how authorities often blurred the lines. They'd lump actual gang members together with a much larger group of young black kids who were just, affiliated or associated. Maybe they lived nearby, maybe they knew someone.
Right, but weren't necessarily involved in crime, living in communities where gangs were sometimes, like, as the book says, troublesome relatives.
But the result of this broad brush approach, devastating. It meant basically all young black Angelenos started carrying this racialized stigma of the gangster, whether they were involved or not.
Which creates this terrible dynamic. Young people start seeing the police differently, too.
Exactly. Viator writes they feared the LAPD as if it were just as ruthless as any street gang and more sinister. Imagine living with that perception. The people meant to protect you are seen as aggressors.
So how does that pressure cooker environment translate into the actual music scene before the big labels got involved?
Okay, so the early scene, the real core of it, was these mobile dance parties. DJs setting up gear, And who came to these parties? Well, controversially, but crucially, it included gun-toting gangbangers and loads of kids who were kind of on the edges of that scene.
The same groups the police were targeting.
The very same. And early rappers, like Todd E.T. and his partner Mixmaster Spade, they were selling their homemade tapes, street tapes, directly to these crowds.
And the music resonated because...
Because, as Viator puts it, it offered a rare reflection of their lived reality. Finally, someone was telling their story, in their language, capturing the struggle, the fear, but also just life in that environment.
A community feeling like it was under siege, finding its voice?
Precisely. Now, interestingly, even though New York sometimes looked down on early LA rap,
yeah, there was definitely some coastal rivalry.
it was actually a Queens group, Run DMC, who gave the West Coast scene a massive jolt.
How so?
They were pioneers, right?
Yeah.
They cut rap loose from disco, established that iconic hip-hop look, the sneakers, the jeans, the jackets, the hats, the uniform of the inner city, as the book calls it.
Undeniable legends.
So 1986, Run DMC tours LA, trying to prove hip-hop is national, and their show erupts chaos, dubbed a rap riot.
Right, I remember reading about that.
And afterwards, Run DMC kind of flip-flopped, sometimes defending hip-hop, sometimes blaming the gangbangers. They said sabotage the show.
And that whole incident, it really highlights something, doesn't it? About race and how rap violence was perceived.
Absolutely. Think about it. Punk had violence concerns, heavy metal too.
Right.
But with rap, the conversation immediately zeroed in on race. Suddenly, all rap fans are potentially gangsters.
Yeah.
But here's the twist Viator points out. For LA's own rappers, this negative attention, this riot, it was actually a window of opportunity.
How? Seems counterintuitive.
They saw the power of the spotlight, even a harsh one. They realized, okay, people are paying attention, now's our chance to grab it and tell our side.
Seize the narrative.
Exactly. Which leads us straight into the formation of N.W.A, Niggas with Attitudes.
Game changer.
It starts with Eric Wright, Eazy-E, a drug dealer reportedly looking for a legitimate way out. He starts a small label, Ruthless Records, 1986.
Okay.
And there's Andre Young, Dr. Dre, super talented DJ audio engineer, but he's frustrated at his current label, Crew Cut Records.
Why? What was he doing there?
According to the book, he was crafting electro ballads and performing dance moves in medical scrubs.
Chuckles slightly. Okay, not exactly hardcore.
Not what he wanted to be doing. Eazy-E saw his potential and basically poached him.
Smart move.
Then O'Shea Jackson, Ice Cube, he's younger, honing his skills at like a local skating rink, writing these really raw verses, totally street, totally dirty, even doing obscene parodies that the tough Compton crowds loved.
Stuff like My Penis.
Yeah, exactly. He was also at Crew Cut, feeling held back, couldn't tell the street stories he wanted to tell, so Eazy recruits him too.
So Ruthless Records is assembling this crew.
And they operate on this belief that seemed counterintuitive at the time.
Which was?
That the stories of those very toughs and gangsters that Run DMC sort of denounced, those stories were marketable. That these guys were LA's most loyal rap audience.
So lean into it.
Totally. The message was, be as hardcore as you want to be. That was a huge shift. Saying the rawest street reality is commercially viable.
And they proved it pretty quickly, right?
With the 1987 single, The Boys in the Hood, that track really set a new template for LA rap.
How's it different?
The lyrics weren't just boasting. They were plot-driven narratives, telling stories, a real contrast to a lot of the rap out there.
More like Grandmaster Flash's The Message, that kind of realism.
Yeah, pursuing that kind of realism, but making it intensely local, like Toddy T's Bataram. It was written, as the book says, in the LA vernacular of drugs, classic cars, and police abuse.
Gotcha. So
But
it fused those local Toddy T style stories with that modern post-disco sound Run DMC had pioneered.
Exactly. A potent combination. And it arrived at a very specific moment in LA.
Things were escalating.
Yeah. Gang violence started spilling into wealthier areas. Media attention exploded. New state laws came in mandatory sentences for felonies, even if you were just loosely tied to a gang.
Wow, heavy stuff.
And then Chief Gates announces Operation Hammer in 1988. Massive gang sweeps. He declares war on, his words, rotten little cowards.
It's in that climate.
That N.W.A. drops straight out of Compton. The album, it felt like a direct response.
Especially compared to something like the movie Colors, right? Dennis Hopper's film about LA gangs.
Right. Colors came out the same year, 1988, but it told the story from the police perspective. Two white cops. N.W.A. flipped the script entirely.
They showed the other side.
Ice Cube said it plainly. We're trying to show how it is on the other side, what it's like to have to deal with that kind of asshole cop on a day-to-day basis.
They positioned themselves as reporters.
Underground street reporters, claiming that authenticity they felt was missing elsewhere. Missing in Colors, missing in a lot of New York rap that wasn't living that specific LAPD reality.
So they have this explosive album. How do they get it out there? MTV becomes important, right?
Yeah, MTV's role is interesting, kind of contradictory.
How so?
Well, early MTV famously excluded a lot of black artists.
Yeah.
But then, MTV Raps comes along and it's huge. It massively broadens hip-hop's audience, gets it into suburban homes, connects with white teenagers.
Okay. So N.W.A. makes a video for Straight Outta Compton.
They do, and it's powerful. It depicts one of those gang sweeps, but from the perspective of the people being targeted.
So how does that land?
Well, the book notes that despite all the tough talk in the song, the video actually frames it as an expression of powerlessness. Only the cops have the real weapons, and they use them aggressively to round up N.W.A. and their friends.
But MTV
rejected it, said it glorified violence.
Which is ironic, given.
Totally ironic.
Oh.
This is the channel that pushed boundaries with rock videos all the time. But suddenly, a realistic portrayal of police harassment in Black LA, that was too much. Uncomfortable, as Viator puts it.
So the same kind of violence wasn't treated the same way.
Seems that way. And N.W.A. was understandably pissed off. Ice Cube basically said, the only problem is we told the truth.
But did the rejection hurt them?
Actually, no. It had the opposite effect. Other channels did play it, maybe partly because MTV wouldn't. It generated buzz, controversy.
Ah, so the controversy itself became valuable.
Exactly. It drove sales, got them more publicity. It proved for N.W.A. at that moment, controversy was currency.
How do you think that worked so well for them specifically? I think it's because they were articulating something real that wasn't being said elsewhere in the mainstream, that anger, that experience of injustice.
Right.
So when the establishment, whether it's MTV or the police, pushed back, it almost proved N.W.A.'s point for their audience. It signaled they're scared because this is true.
It validated them.
Yeah, and it made everyone else curious. What are they saying that's so dangerous? It just amplified their message and solidified that image. Uncompromising truth tellers.
Which brings us to, arguably, their most controversial track ever.
Has to be Fuck Thy Police.
Yep. And the reaction was predictable, in a way. Law enforcement hated it.
I bet.
The Fraternal Order of Police actually told its members not to work security for N.W.A.'s 1989 tour, tried to shut down their shows.
Even the FBI got involved.
Yeah, the FBI wrote a letter scolding their label, Ruthless Records, basically telling them off about the song's message.
But N.W.A. knew how to play this game by now.
Oh yeah, brilliant counter move. They used all that criticism, the FOP, the FBI letter, as the springboard, Viator says. More exposure, more public sympathy, ironically.
And the song's impact went way beyond LA, didn't it?
Hugely. You had rappers like Jay-Z in New York hearing it and feeling like it spoke to his reality too. He heard his own voice.
And U.S. Love from the Roots.
Yeah. 16 years old in Philly, hears Fuck Thy Police, and he's thunderstruck. He said, artists just didn't say that back then. It blew his mind. He literally ditched chamber orchestra practice to go listen to the rest of Straight Outta Compton.
Wow, that says it all. It really shifted what was possible in rap.
It helped make 1988 this turning point. Hip-hop wasn't just a New York thing anymore. that California gangster persona took root became central to the genre.
Okay, but we have to address the other side too. The book doesn't shy away from N.W.A.'s issues, right?
Not at all. And it's important context, especially for listeners trying to square the impact with the individuals. Viator lays it out.
Like Dr. Dre's assault on D. Barnes.
Yes. Serious battery charges. And both Dre and Easy making these really tasteless jokes after Rodney King was brutally beaten by police.
Which seems incredibly contradictory.
It does. And then there's the misogyny in the lyrics. Tracks like Tequila Hooker, Find 'em, Fuck 'em and Flee, One Less Bitch.
Just deeply problematic stuff.
Absolutely. And the criticism came from all sides. Some industry people felt they were pushing this apolitical version of black militancy, even anarchy.
Critics called the music black exploitation records.
Yeah, or labeled them the ultimate sellouts, basically saying they were profiting from black pain.
And even community activists worried.
Right, like Leon Watkins concerned they were normalizing gang violence and urban plight, maybe even exploiting a dangerous situation for fame.
Yeah.
So how do we make sense of that? The powerful social commentary alongside these really ugly elements.
It's messy, isn't it? There's no easy answer. Artists are flawed. Their personal actions or other parts of their work don't automatically cancel out the truth or power in other aspects. N.W.A. tapped into something undeniably real, that anger, that injustice. Their music gave voice to it, even if they themselves or other lyrics were problematic. The book presents that complexity. It doesn't try to smooth it over. It forces you to grapple with both sides.
And the book kind of culminates with this sense of, well, grim validation.
The 1992 LA uprisings, after the Rodney King verdict.
Exactly. Suddenly, everything N.W.A. and others had been rapping about seemed to just explode onto the streets. It looked like gangster rap wasn't just entertainment. It was an honest response to a real American crisis.
A warning that went unheeded.
That's what many rappers argued. Ice-T, Tupac. Ice Cube famously said, anything you want to know about the riots was in the records before the riots.
The soundtrack was already there?
Yeah. The music wasn't just reflecting, it was predicting. Warning.
So what's the lasting legacy, according to Viator?
She argues it's not that gangster rap was simply co-opted by the mainstream, it's bigger than that.
It's that pop culture itself got co-opted.
The 21st century pop culture landscape, co-opted by hip-hop. That's her assessment. The influence is that profound.
And if you trace it back, the rise of gangster rap from the 80s onwards, it runs parallel to another rise, doesn't it?
The rise of militarized policing.
Yeah.
Over the exact same period.
And the themes, gangster rap explored power, injustice, state control, community survival. They still hit hard today because those issues haven't gone away.
It wasn't just a phase.
Yeah.
It fundamentally changed the conversation in music and culture.
Absolutely, a foundational shift.
What a trip back we've taken. From that Batarang crashing through a wall.
So N.W.A. shaking up the world.
Seeing how that specific pressure cooker in L.A., the crisis, the policing, birthed this incredibly powerful, transformative music.
It really makes you think about art's role, doesn't it? Even when it's controversial, maybe especially when it's controversial.
As a warning system.
Yeah. A vital, maybe prescient warning system for what's happening in society. Those echoes from 80s LA, the policing, the music responding, you can still hear them today.
So the question for you, listening, is maybe, what does this deep dive tell you about music's power? Not just to reflect reality, but maybe to actually shape how we understand things like justice, community, power itself.
Something to chew on. Keep those thoughts with you.